wipe all of that content will not be in the kiosk anymore. It'll be auto-sorted on your walls.
Oh, thank
in your
God.
Stores. The character leveling's coming in now.
Ooh, we're just talking about that.
MMO style leveling's coming in soon.
Yeah.
A bunch of stuff. So, I mean, it's all on the way.
We're going to be sitting down, and I need to organize my damn hardcore bags, okay? And I'm like, how can I make this exciting? Because I f***ing hate organizing my bags. I hate it. I don't want to put anything away. It takes too much time. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it. So we're going to do that today, and while we do it, I found this interview with Scott, the lead developer, the CEO of Combat Waffle Studios, who made Ghosts of Tabor. And it's actually a really, really good listen. You can get a little bit of an insight on who Scott is, what his background is, what his plans are for the future of this game, both near and far. And so we'll sit down, and while I put everything away, we will watch and listen to the interview. I'll give my takes as we go. Oh my God, Kiwi Design! Shout out to Kiwi Design. They sponsor me too. Wow, very cool.
Albright, the CEO and founder of Combat Waffle Studios, which right off the top is one of the most badass game studio names. They're the studio behind Ghosts of Tabor.
Audio should be good.
We just did our early impressions of last week, and to say we've been loving it is an understatement.
No, it's not even funny. It's ruining.
Okay, little background on the interviewers too. They are very underrated. It is Ruff Talk VR, so shout out to them. Look them up on YouTube. It's the two guys on the left. They are a father-son duo, and they talk about all things VR. So please, we're going to be watching their video. Go sub to their channel if you like their stuff, and take a look at some of their other interviews as well. And I plan to have Scott again on in the future. Okay, so big shout outs to Ruff Talk VR.
In all the best ways possible.
Yeah, it's been very hard to go explore other games without at least doing 1 or 2 raids, and unfortunately 1 or 2 raids can quickly become your whole play session when it becomes 4 or 5 raids, but that's a different conversation. So before we get into it, Scott, do you mind to tell our listeners a little bit more about who you are, and also in case they missed last week's episode, or they've somehow missed
hearing the words Ghost of Tabor.
Yeah, a little bit more about what the game is.
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just a gamer, right? I'm 38 years old. I'm prior military, prior law enforcement. Did a lot of stuff in my life. In 38 years, a lot
of stuff.
Before this, I was a talent agent and manager in LA. And so I dealt with a lot of different celebrities, actors, athletes, dealt with their careers. I've been playing VR since 2019. I actually joined the comp team, the leftovers and contractors, in 2022.
So he also played on a comp team, which is interesting. So he's not only been playing VR games, but he was actually on competitive esports teams. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, 2021.
So we at least know that this guy he's not just some random joining the VR industry and wanting to make games. He's been in VR and playing shooters competitively and passionately for some time. And that's always a good sign to see people who are actually enjoying and playing games, developing them, because they have a better taste of what people want, right? So it's good to hear.
And that's how
Chat,
I really
why
got
aren't you on my
heavy
hand?
into
What
VR.
are you doing over there?
Turn around, I've always wanted a Tarkov in VR. That's what I've always wanted. My wildest dream is some dev studio would have the balls to go out and just make this game as big and hard as it would be. And I just one day decided, screw it, I'm just going to do it myself. Went and had a buddy that was a crypto company that was looking to do a big investment. They're out of business now.
Rest in peace, crypto company.
But no, just joking. A bunch of great guys. But they gave me investment, and I said, hey, I actually talked to the guys at DayZ about coming on and being the development team, and they said, oh, it'll take 5 years and $10 million. I said, no, we're going to do this in 12 months. And they said, it's not possible. And we did it in 11 months.
11 months?
You know, I think we're at 13 months now, 2 months post-launch.
This gets kind of brushed over very quickly, but making a game from start to finish, especially a VR game that hasn't really been done before, in under like a couple years, is an insane feat. Like, It's insane. And what that means, chat, and what you guys should understand, because they made this game from start to finish in 11 months when it first went live for everybody to play, we should have a bit more understanding and, a bit of compassion towards the potential bugs and the bugs we do see in the game. It's crazy. We should have had to have waited like 3 to 5 years before we got something even playable, okay? And we didn't have to wait that long. They did it in 11 months. It is insane. So yes, there's going to be bugs. Yes, there's going to be things here. It's only been 11 months since they came up with the idea and actually made it a thing.
But we got a very base game that could go into a closed beta, and Ghosts of Tabor, man, I remember before launch, we're sitting there thinking, like, God, we can just sell like 10.
All right, chat. Before we continue this interview, these are all of the bags on my hardcore account that need sorting and putting away. So we're gonna be doing that while we listen. Good God, it's an absolute mess. I thank God we can listen to Scott talk while we do this.
10K copies. Well, good. All the employees can stay. We'll have our stay because we had one year funding. That's all we had.
Only one year funding. They would run out of money after that.
With a hope and a dream that they thought it was going to be amazing, including me. I walked away from a 7-figure-a-year job, being a talent agent manager, just to pursue this. And we put a year of blood, sweat, and tears into Ghost of Tabor, and it paid off. And it paid off for any of the devs listening. It paid off because we're not making the same crap over and over and over and over and over 5v5 comp games.
Agreed.
We listened to the community. We were gamers. We knew what the community wanted. And
So what he's hinting at here is, we had Pavlov first, right? Okay, 5v5 comp game, very akin to Counter-Strike. We got Contractors, another kind of 5v5. It's a little bit more than 5v5 sometimes, but another just shooter back and forth in the Call of Duty-esque. And then we had Veil, another competitive 5v5 shooter. It's like they kept flooding the market with the same types of games. We have X8, another 5v5 competitive shooter. Yes, they're trying to make it more of a hero shooter like Valorant, but it still falls into the same category of just another 5v5 competitive shooter, right?
We made something that people want to play. We found a genre that was not done and people were scared to make, and we made it. And we got really, really lucky. I like to say blessed, but we're very, very lucky. However you want to look at it. But yeah, man, that's me. Big history and entrepreneur since I was 16.
He was making 7 figures a year.
I'm also the CEO over at Virtual Reality Esports League. And that's how I met Jonas Infish, and that's how I met Duncan, all through the leftovers. And then we created Virtual Reality Esports League, VRL.gg, and I said I need a better game than Contractors, so we made one. That's it. That's my story, man. That's it. Podcast over.
Podcast over. We made it, chat. It's
there's
done.
Definitely a lot to go in there. That sounds like quite the back.
So he's also one of the I forget what he said exactly, but not the owner. Maybe he is the owner, but he's a big part of another esports league too. And he was saying he wants a better game than Contractors, so he made it. Which means, chat, that he has some sort of plans and ideas to make Ghosts of Tabor some sort of esports event, which is pretty exciting. But you might all be wondering, how the hell do you make a game that's a looter shooter an esports game? Well, he might talk a little bit about that later.
Well, I don't think I could have walked away from Hollywood Talent Agency. I just don't, not even knowing the money. I just make an assumption it's a good lifestyle.
It's a lot of travel. That was the worst part. I've got a 3-year-old. We're trying to have another kid. I didn't want to. And I have a 12-year-old son, but he lives in Louisville, Kentucky. I live in Florida, so he lives with his mother. But
family man.
After my year in the Army of never seeing my son due to my duties there, I started to see when my agency really exploded. I started to see that same repeat. That I was traveling Thursday to Monday. I flew 188,000 miles in 1 year.
That's a lot of travel.
So when I started seeing that I missed almost an entire year of my second year of my daughter's life, I was like, no more. Like, what? I've got to do something else.
So
like,
he wanted to hunker down,
again, because I really
spend
feel
more
like
time
that
with his
year of
family
me
and being
missing my
closer
son's
with his
life is
family.
what put a strain on our relationship, because I wasn't there.
What do we do with
and
these
I never
purple
want
cards?
my daughter, and my wife's pregnant again with a little boy, and I never want to have that happen again with my kids. So
I guess that goes
Now
through
you're
the
the-
floor.
Nope, I
Now you're the
1,000,000%
CEO.
respect that.
No, that's awesome.
freaking
So,
awesome.
so this sounds like a very fascinating story. You kind of, I mean, how you go from law enforcement and military to talent agent in Hollywood over to VR developer. It doesn't happen in a.
That's not the normal progress.
No, it's
so do you
not.
want to take us a little bit through that path? What was the?
Yeah, like he's got such an extensive background of things that he's done. Like it's not like he's been a VR game developer his whole life or had an interest in doing that his whole life. He's done so much different stuff and he's been very successful at different things. Which is always a good sign. If someone has the ability to be successful in multiple fields, it's usually a hint that they are just very quick at learning new things. Okay? I'm just going to throw these money things away that we don't need. We can't even sell them. Like this toilet paper, we can't use it. So I'm just going to toss it on the ground. So whenever you see people who excel at all of those things, it's a good sign that they're very, very fast learners. And fast learners tend to excel in whatever they decide to put their minds towards.
The story of Scott Albright.
He'll go over his age.
Yeah, Scott Albright was born in Louisville, Kentucky. I'd always had this drive to be in law enforcement. So when I was like 15, I joined the Explorer program with the Louisville Metro Police Department, which is through the Boy Scouts of America. And you, from 15 to like 21 or to 18, you can be an explorer, and you go on ride-alongs with police. You work events beside police. You get to see what the job is, and that was great for me because I always wanted to be a cop. So I did that, and then I turned 18. I got on as a cadet until I was 21, and then I went and became a sworn peace officer. After about 2.5 years, I decided, hey, this just wasn't for me as much as I thought it really was. So I left. I went and installed cable for a local internet company for about 4 months.
So at a super young age, what did he say, 14, 15, 16? He was doing ride-alongs and basically being an intern for police department and things of that nature. So from a young age, he was already very driven in doing whatever he was interested in. Like, I mean, how many 15 to 17-year-olds do you know that are going out of their way and doing anything of that caliber? They exist, don't get me wrong, but they're just so much rarer, right?
About 4 months. I said, it sucks. Like, I need to do something with my life. I was 24 years old. So going into the military at 24, you're an old man in boot camp. So when I went into the basic, I was the old man. Had a great career in the military. Planned on doing 20 years. Got hurt. Got a medical discharge. Got out. Worked for the government as a contractor for a little bit. Wanted to stay home. Still didn't want to do all that. Opened a gun store actually in Louisville, Kentucky.
Gun store
owner for a little while. Got introduced to a friend through a friend to a talent agent that was looking for armed security to handle celebrities, that kind of thing. The guy's name was Zach Avino. He's a real scumbag. We actually caught him
instantly
stealing from his clients, and that's how I started my agency. Was just like, I can reinvent this wheel and do this so much better. I did that for
the classic talent agent story is that they steal from their clients. That's what
it's not a bad living, man. You make 10% of whatever they make. Like, it's a decent living.
Yeah, you don't need to get greedy.
Right. He had a ton of clients. So I actually started my own agency, took all of his clients, ran my agency for a bunch of years. Again, decided I didn't want to travel anymore. And just created a game studio. Like, literally, I mean, and this was like
I just created a game
January
studio.
to March of 2022 thing. Decided in January, got funding in March, started April 1. Assembled my entire team by then. Like, it was just one of those things. Like, I'm blessed, man, but I'm not trying to there's a ton of great devs out there, but I got really, really lucky. That's really all it comes down to. I got really lucky.
How'd you get lucky,
destined in the stars for me to make it at this time, or to be super successful. I don't know. But I think every day, this could be over tomorrow.
Chat, I'm going to move all these mags later. I'm just going to leave them here. I think we should finally line them up on the wall instead, because this is a mess. This is an absolute mess. We'll organize that later. But we've gone through a lot of bags. We have tons of boxes of ammo. I'm trying to stack them as like ammo. Maybe we can sort them by lowest to largest caliber eventually, but yeah. You saw their Gunstar before, Eater? You lived near there? Really? That's interesting. Yeah, we'll put the ammo somewhere else later. Or sorry, the mags later. Oh god, you've heard later before. You're right. Hopefully it happens.
Tomorrow, and I'm thankful for what I have. So
he just said he understands that it could be over tomorrow, this whole studio thing and just all the success he's had so far, and so he's just very thankful for it.
Well, when you look at the game just dropped,
it's not going to be over tomorrow.
No way.
You gotta keep that doubt in the back of your mind.
Oh,
though,
yeah.
right?
No, I
doubt drives him. That's why he puts it there.
Well, I didn't realize. I mean, we talked to a lot of developers, and they say, 2-3 years is kind of the average development time, and 11 months from conception to from team being built to 13 now with what we have now. And I mean, the game's been out for 2 months with over 2,000 ratings just on the MetaQuest store,
which is a lot.
It's clearly a hit. I mean,
yeah,
geez, that's hugely impressive. And I like that you're not shy with the influences of the game. You're like, I wanted Tarkov in VR.
I mean, we gotta embrace what you are, right? That's what I wanted. Mm-hmm. That's what everybody wanted. So that's what we made.
I definitely wanted a Tarkov
some
in
things
VR.
to make it a little bit more unique because it's a VR game, right? But it's Tarkov. At the end of the day, we're Tarkov in VR. That's it.
And I love that he embraces that and doesn't shy away from it. He's not trying to pretend en masse that he's making this whole game was his own idea. He's just upfront about it. I loved Tarkov, he says. I played it a ton, and I'd love to play it in VR. So instead of waiting for other people to finally make it, he said, screw it. I'll just do it myself. And thank God he did. Oh my gosh. I was a big Tarkov player. I played a lot of hours, and I got pretty decent at the game. And I'd always wondered and hoped that eventually we'll get a Tarkov clone in VR. And here we are, chat. Tarkov is super good.
That's impressive. And how many people are working on this game?
That's what I wanted to know.
For the 11 months, we only had 8, and now we have 14 or 15 now, I think. Maybe 16 counting me. We've doubled since we were launched.
Okay.
Wow.
We have 3 environment artists now.
Not a huge dev team, and they're still doing work, but he's expanding.
5 full-time developers. We actually hired Spoonfed from VR, from Swordsman VR. He was one of their senior developers.
That's
hired
a really
him away
good
a couple
grab.
months ago. Our lead developer, our technical artist who just left for medical, and our head environment artist are all from Epic. They all worked contracted with Epic for
Epic
VR
Games.
content.
That's huge.
They've been working since Oculus Go. We hired a lot of kids straight out of college, out of a place in Ohio.
Love that too. New talent.
They're just unicorns. They're
unicorns.
We had people that didn't work out.
He uses the word unicorns to describe some of his fresh talent, as they're just stars. They're unique. They're talented. They're just different from the rest. So I love that description of them. Yo, thanks for the bits.
We had more people that did work out. And with us, we work fully remote. So we're in Discord every day talking, bullshitting. And it's still a very military. I try to run it like a military style environment where even the brand new employee in a respectful manner can call me a dickhead.
I love that.
If I'm being stupid, call me out on it. Tell me I'm being stupid.
I love that.
Keeps everybody in line.
Right. And we joke.
So I know this seems kind of not very important, but the fact that he's open to, I know he's yeah, you guys can call me dickheads. My employees, the people that I oversee and manage, they have the ability to call me a dickhead. And what he's meaning here is just I want open communication. It's a funny way to say you need to just be open with me and honest about anything, okay? Because I'm here to listen to your input, and I'm not some like overlord that's gonna be like, fuck you guys, it's whatever I decide, I don't care what you have to say, we're gonna do everything my way. And that is a really, really good sign for any sort of developer, especially a lead.
And we're inappropriate, and we're not PC, and it's like we just have fun, and I really feel like everyone loves to come to work.
I don't know if
and
these are going to
everyone
stay
that's
like this.
been hired and stayed, it's a passion project, and they all love Tarkov.
Chat, why are these red, man? When I stack them on top, are they going to stay or are they going to disappear? I guess we can test it with just one. Ugh, is it going to disappear? Yeah, it's not red anymore. Okay, so I can stack them on top. That's good. Anyways, back to the interview.
So it's one of those things.
Glad you like the vids, Alan.
It just worked this time.
I think it's crushing it at the level it is. I mean, my anticipation is obviously we're going to see it in the official store sometime.
And you're scoring people from Sin Studio with Swordsman VR. That's one of our favorite App Lab games. You look at like the environmentals in that game. And
I've never played Swordsman VR. Have you guys, chat?
You know,
optimizing on
we've
the
seen
Meta
other
Quest.
studios do it though, where they put together a very serious, passionate team that cares about what they do. They come from all walks of industry, and then they just start crushing it.
Yeah. So I mean, this game's available on PC VR, on the Quest. For yourself, what do you play on?
I play on my Index, on PC VR.
Index, boys. That's what I have.
mean,
Let's
how hard was
go.
it to get a game like this that there's so many environmental details, there's so much going on, 12 players on a map, a huge map on the island of Tabor map. I mean,
Oh man, and this is a small map compared to the next one coming. So,
Ooh! Did you hear that? The island is a small map in comparison to the next one that's coming. Are you guys are you ready for this? It's gonna be massive. If they're saying the island is small in comparison to the next map, holy shit, we are in for a treat. And I'm excited for a large map because it's, as time goes on in a really big map, it gets near impossible to kind of predict where players could be. You know what I mean? Because there's so much ground to cover and they could be anywhere. And it just really packs on that sense of dread and fear that somebody's watching you. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god, the next map's going to be massive.
Yeah, this Matka Miest, the Mother City's coming. So.
Oh my goodness. So what's it like to get a game like this functioning on the Quest?
How do you even get it to work?
In 11
it friggin'
months.
sucks.
It does suck to make it work on Quest.
Let's just be real. Like, this game, it still has some. We know it still has some hangups on Quest at the lab and island. Like we know that, and we're working.
They know
on
that.
Environment artists are working on it. It's simple things like texture atlasing and things like that. That need to be just completed and pushed, and it's not easy. And I really don't think we could have done it if we didn't have the team that we had. Like, I mean, everybody, including me, I did not know Unreal when we started this project. I'm a Photoshop guy. All the logos, all that stuff.
Stop
like,
being red.
That's me. But I got down along with my guys. Show me how to do this Unreal. Let me watch you do this. And I've learned Unreal. I made Missile Silo.
Scott actually did Missile Silo.
Or
Missile Silo was first, yeah.
Okay. I got that impression because it's a smaller map.
We were still searching for the right environment artist, and we were interviewing a lot. And by the time we found Seb, we had already finished Silo, but then he went through and he saw everything that I did wrong, and he corrected it.
Good.
Hey, if it makes it for the better, then
Yeah.
Where are we putting these graphics?
He's a rock star, man.
No, it sounds like the whole team you're putting together will fall in that category.
yeah. And was the idea always to get it up and running on the Quest, or was this originally
Absolutely.
supposed to?
I think if you're a developer, and there's some guys that have released some titles that were supposed to be huge, and I'll use their example, Veil. The fact that they did not release on Quest was the dumbest business decision in my mind that anyone could have ever made.
It killed the game. It killed the game.
And don't get me wrong, our PC market, it's not far behind our Quest market, our Quest sales. Like, they are neck and neck by like 600,000.
But you'd
That's
still be losing half
crazy.
your sales without
But we
the
lose
Quest.
50% of our revenue if it wasn't for Meta. like period. And there's no reason.
So, chat, what he's talking about is like, as a developer, you need to understand that most of the market is on these cheaper standalone headsets, Quest. So, as much as I'm like a PC VR, like, you know, master race kind of guy, like, you know, it's just the best on PC, and it is, you got to understand that that's not the majority of the market. The majority of the market is these standalone headsets. So if you want to be successful and get the funding and money from sales of the game that you want to succeed, you have to target your entire VR audience. You can't sequitur off the meta users, because that's a huge portion of your sales. So you have to just knuckle down, bite your teeth, and be like, okay, we gotta somehow get this to run on Quest as well. We have to. And as much as they did not want to and knew it would be a pain in the ass, they said, okay, we need to do this. And it was super important for the success of Ghosts of Tabor or any other games.
In a game like Veil or anything, or Ghosts of Tabor, that, okay, you have to give up some fidelity, right? You got to give up some of that visual niceness.
Yep.
But that's where the market is.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I may be a PC purist, and I love PC, and I don't really enjoy my standalone headsets, you have to go where that is. Like you can't leave your player base out. Like that to me is a disservice to all the people that want to play the game that you work so hard on. And
Agreed.
When we first started this, my lead game developer Ronaldo, he's like, we cannot go to Quest. This will never run on Quest. We're not going to be able to do Quest. It's like, we are doing Quest, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's happening. And it happened. But it's not like we didn't work 16-hour days, 7 days a week.
I honestly can't believe they even have Quest running in the state it is. Yes, I know it's buggy, and I know it's not up to par with the PC version, but the fact that somehow this game even runs on Quest is pretty amazing in and of itself. Like, it's just nuts to me.
Week for 11 months, because we did. We worked every single day for 14 to 16 hours a day. And we're tired.
It sounds like with
tired.
the amount of updates coming, the new map you teased,
Yeah,
and
they've
bug fixes, it sounds like those days are just as long, you know?
Yeah, they are. We take weekends off a lot. We haven't been this weekend or the last couple weekends because we didn't get to push an update. But like, we try to at least take a Sunday off or do something.
So that time frame Scott is talking about is, you know, they're trying to take time off, but they couldn't this last week because they wanted to push an update. That's when all of the duping and the, you know, ceiling glitchers and all that stuff was happening. So, chat, listen. They know that these problems exist, and they knew how impactful the ceiling glitchers and dupers were to their game, and they literally didn't take days off just so they could push a patch out for you guys. It takes time. They sacrifice their time with their families, their free time to be sane, just to push a patch out for us. So they deserve some love, okay? You gotta have some empathy and understand what they go through to give us what we get to play right now.
Thing of that nature, like we try. Since the launch, I think, well, about 2 weeks after the launch, we try to take a little bit of time to see the families and the kids and stuff like that. Like, even if it's just stepping away for an hour to have dinner with your family or lunch, or just putting your kid to bed, like, and telling them you love them, like that can completely refresh you as a human. So for all the indie devs that are doing that, make sure you take that hour, have lunch with your family, have dinner with your family, go to the park with your kid, let them slide, let them swing, because they're going to grow fast. Your dad can tell you, yesterday you were knee high, right? Like, in his eyes.
Oh yeah, no, it creeps me out.
Yeah,
time is quick, and I've always told people, like, the minute you have a kid, time goes even quicker, because now you're seeing it versus, you know, you don't necessarily catch it with yourself for like a decade.
I'm telling you, man.
So what he's meaning there is, like, he's saying you're seeing the time when you have a kid. Okay, kids, as a year goes by, from when they were birthed to a year, they grow incredibly. So you have a visual reminder and representation of time. when you have a child. Whereas, as you're getting older and you're not like changing greatly as the years go by, like it's easy to just kind of forget that a year has gone by because you look at yourself in the mirror every day and you're like, I don't see much of a change. But when you're looking at your kids as they grow up, like a year is so much change and growth, and you're just kind of really, really reminded of that. Oh, my game crashed. And you know why it crashed? It crashed because I was trying to move those canted rails, and it's one of them stacked on top of the other, and then I grabbed the stack of two, and it stacked onto a third, and the game did not like that. The game did not like that. So don't stack 3 canted rails on top of each other, chat, or your game will break. So keep those away, all right? Hi, Chocolate. Oh, God, the game is stuck open. All right, we'll keep the interview going while I fix this.
Yep, it goes
I
way
still
too
feel
quick.
17 and 16 in my head, and I look in the mirror, I'm like, I'm not 16 anymore. But I still feel like that kid in high school to this day.
Yeah, that never changes, I don't think.
Yeah.
Or some people suppress it, but I think for the most part, that's exactly it. I don't, physically and mentally, I'm like, I'm still young 20s,
Yeah.
You look in the mirror and you're like, holy shit, who is that looking at me?
Yeah. I know. Every
That's
day
where I'm
gets a
blessed
little
that
fatter.
I can at least do something like this with my son. So
That's
I'm
cool.
blessed in that
that's
sense.
sweet.
I really am envious of you of this podcast with you and your son. When I found out you all were their father-son co-hosts, I was like, man, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so,
would you believe like the first 6-7 months of the podcast, we were trying to keep it secret too.
no,
It
it's
was
so cool.
so foolish. We were like, wait, what are we doing?
Yeah.
We should probably tell people.
Yeah, it's so cool that you all are like that. I feel like that just it makes the podcast that much more like attractive and wholesome. Just that you
Okay, good.
all are
All the
doing
stuff I
something
put away
together
is
because
still there.
unfortunately, you don't see a lot of dads.
Chat, we did lose that bag, but it's fine. It is what it is. I should probably move those canted rails before it crashes again. Let me put those canted rails here. I'm going to drop them high above, and that should prevent that. But Scott's talking about how he's envious that, these two are a father-son duo still hanging out, spending time, and doing, a podcast. Like, he's envious of that time.
Dads that have the ability or even want to sit next to their son and do a podcast, right?
Yeah.
They'd rather be doing their own thing. They don't want to be around their kid. And it's really cool that your dad and you have that kind of relationship. I have that type of relationship with my father. And I think that's the most special thing you could ever have.
Yeah, we were talking about starting a podcast for a while because about once a week we get together, drink coffee, talk for like 3-4 hours. We're like, probably should record it. Just had to find the niche, and then like
I love
we
the
both
birth of
got
that
Quest
idea.
2s, and it was
We were bit by
downhill.
the bug.
Yeah.
It was instant after that.
So to go back to you saying like, hey, you need to do the Quest standalone, even if it's not what you prefer. It's a whole market. As somebody who's on Quest 2 standalone, I appreciate that mentality.
Yeah, of
'cause
course.
And I know a lot of
That's
you
how
out
people like
there
us
are
to
on
get to
Quest and
experience it,
appreciate that too.
Well,
Yeah.
let's be
I
honest.
mean-
It's like, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was like, we made this game for you all. It's not us. Like,
No, but you guys are definitely gamers.
Yes.
So
Yes,
that's
they're
showing in
gamers.
it's just funny because we've been playing. I mean, we play everything legitimately, and then we got our hands on Ghosts of Tabor, and it's no bullshit. I mean, instantly on the Discord, I was like, I'm going to sleep thinking of raids in the morning.
I
1
love
PM,
hearing
you're
that.
at work, like
It's
lunch.
just so
you're like, oh,
Can't wait
addictive.
to get home. I'm going on a couple of raids in this game.
That's great,
it's like
man.
it's filled everything that I'm kind of like looking for, and instantly figured there was a long-term vision with it that's much bigger than even what I'm playing right now. So I'm invested deep.
So something I'm
great.
curious of, because it's not always what you would expect from the developer, but I mean, I imagine when the game was very early in the works, you were a king of the game. But at this point, with the game being out a couple months, how's your skill hold up with?
Yeah,
with the
Scott,
player
how's
base?
your
Can you
skill?
go in and dominate a raid, or you got to be on your
Thanks for the
toes?
follow.
Honestly, I don't get to play as much as I would like to, so I do have to be on my toes. And there are people that have killed me, but they don't know my in-game name.
Who knows Scott's
Well, they
in-game
have-
name? Who knows it? No, don't leak it. I want to know if I've killed Scott. I've probably killed him before. That's the interesting thing. And maybe you have too, chat. So he's got, he doesn't leak his in-game name. So he's out there under some pseudonym playing his own game. I love hearing that. Chat, we're getting close to being done with the bags. I think we're like halfway through. Your dad bought your setup? That's sweet. My dad's a big gamer too. He just hasn't gotten into VR yet, but I game because of my dad. He got me into it.
They have no idea who I am. I think since launch I've died maybe 5 times, and I try to play at least
there's
2
so
or 3
many
times
water
a week for a
bottles in
couple
here.
hours. But I have developers that get in every night, and they can't stop playing either.
I love
so
that the devs are playing all the time.
and then they go play it for 5 hours. So
I could see that totally,
Dude, it's
If the dev team is playing their game that much, chat, this is just more evidence that they are feeling all the bugs and crashes as well, because they love playing their own game. They know about the bugs, okay? It just takes time to fix. And they want to fix them because, as I said before, they're playing their own game and they get frustrated themselves when they crash with a full, bag full of goodies and they didn't get to make it out with it. Like, they are very, very aware, and we should be understanding of that.
it's legit taking over at least 2 to 3 hours, almost a day. I'm like begging for us to play. Yeah, it's ridiculous. We have way too much
I
fun.
love it, but touch grass sometimes, please. Like, please, everybody, go touch grass.
Go touch
I
grass,
love you
chat.
all, and we appreciate you all, but we want you to be healthy too.
yeah, that's the benefit. I always, like our reviews because we're a little bit more of not a casual gamer, but it's like, we don't get to put in, 6-hour play sessions. I get like the hour and a half,
Full-time
2
life,
maybe
dude.
by 39.
after work, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m.
That's great.
style. So I think that's a game like this works perfect
I don't think I
for
have any of these.
that type of play schedule.
Oh, dude,
too,
you could
'cause-
play it for 20 minutes legit if you just want to get a couple of runs
Yeah.
in and call it a day.
Well-
and you're not,
a raid can go up to 45 minutes. So
Our
we're-
problem is we fart around too much in
the bunker
the
area.
Safeway
Yeah.
house and stuff.
Yeah.
The safe house, and we're like, putting together little, legit at organizing the wall.
Yeah, I know
That's what I'm doing right now, chat.
That's coming. I shouldn't put so
Server
much.
wipes?
Yes, wipes coming. I shouldn't put
Wipes
so
are
much time
coming.
into. Yeah, July 1st, right?
July 1st,
July
yeah.
1st.
Yeah, so
What's
I'm putting
coming?
so much time, pimping out my area,
I know.
and I know it's coming, and I don't care. I just have so much fun with that.
You're
I
gonna love the
don't.
new safe house. You're gonna love the.
We need to hire this guy right here to organize my hideout then. He loves it. Chat, I hate it. Press 1 if you love organizing your hideout. Press 2 if you hate it. I have to know how you guys feel about this. We're pretty split down the middle. We've got lots of people who like organizing and lots of people that hate it. Oh, man. I know, that's my feeling, Dutch. Dutch says less hideout, more shooty. I'm the same way. It's like, I'm just going to put the bag on the wall, and then I want to get inside and go raid more and shoot more. Hire me $5 an hour, says KTM. You're hired. You got the job. I'll give you my account credentials, get in here, make this look pretty. I don't want to do it. Luckily, we have this interview with Scott, the lead dev and owner of Combat Waffle Studios. He's on the right out of the two. And we can listen to this, chat about it, while we finish putting the rest away. All right?
The new bunker coming, man. It's so cool. I sit down one
Hire
night,
me.
that image
Hold
I
on.
teased, I actually did
Hold
that
on. So Chat said, hire me, I'll put on a maid outfit. Done.
in like 3 hours, and we fleshed it out in like a week. And like, it's me and the map maker just got in and just like went ham on this map, and we made everything modular and super cool. And then the vault room, I think, is my favorite, just where you can watch your
Yo!
stacks grow. Like you can.
It's me Yetta 1999. I love you. Bleed purple, bleed purple, bleed purple.
Watch your
Super
money
kind
grow.
of you.
The cash stack. Yeah. No, that was a wicked impression. I didn't know it was okay. I'm excited.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
and
cool.
Has there ever been the idea? I imagine that it was way out of the realm of possibility just because of performance reasons. But has there ever been the thought to allow another user to visit?
Oh, it would be cool.
We're still talking about it,
But at the same time, it would not
our
be cool.
biggest fear is that your friends are going to come in and just screw all your shit up
in your bunker.
right?
Yeah, because they
I would do
will.
that to my friends.
Yeah.
And, that's really my biggest fear, man. It's not really performance. It's more one of those things that we do want to allow eventually, but we just have other things that are holding priority right now. But
That's
even
fair,
joining a
that's
group
fair.
soon, we'll create a voice chat at least with your friends while you're in your bunker, to where if you're in a group and you don't have Discord, or if you're on the quest and you can't use Discord, that you don't have to use Oculus chat or meta chat or whatever it's called now. You'll be able to have a voice chat as soon as you join up a group on your terminal. So
And that's a good,
Okay, and I
good
won't
needed change. Like, there's no way to chat with your friends unless you're using outside applications when you're both in your hideout. Getting a kit together, putting stuff away. So those people who, especially who are playing with Quest and PC cross users, a lot of them they can't have Discord unless they do a bunch of crazy hacking on their standalone headset, and so you're just kind of both sitting there in silence, kind of wondering if the other one's ready, not really knowing what they're doing. So the fact that they're going to be adding in some in-game chat, so you can chat with people in your squad while you're in your hideout, is nice, and people will really like that.
The spatial audio.
no,
the audio
sound like they're
okay.
right here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it won't have the like you load
Oh, you mean
into a
for-
raid, like nobody else will be able to hear you, or
Not when you're in your bunker. No, it won't be a private chat.
Outside
When you
that.
load
okay,
into
out of the
raid,
raid. Okay.
when
Sometimes
you load
we
into
play in-
raid, everyone can still hear you unless you mute. But yeah, in your bunker, only you and the people in your party will be able to hear you.
Admittingly, sometimes the kind of game that we'll play in the Oculus party
Of
chat.
course.
Just
I
'cause
wish
I'm
I
like,
could
yo,
stop you, but I can't.
Yeah, I know it's not right, but
No, it's fine. I mean,
I still
it's-
get killed plenty.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's no different than muting and being in Discord for
By
PCVR players,
18.
right? Like, it's the
That's
same
true.
difference. Like, there's no way to stop it. We talked
Where's my
about it,
my
but it was just
18
impossible on
boxes?
meta. Like, our engineers were looking at how to backdoor that to where you could never mute your, like, you could never turn off your mic and like just use Discord. Like, we looked into it. Like,
That's interesting. Scott's saying he wanted to make it to where nobody could use outside chat programs. Thanks for the follow. And that you'd have to always use in-game chat. So that you could have that proximity chat if you're making call-outs, because that's realistic, right? Like, if you're in a military situation and you're yelling at your buddy that there's a target nearby and you're shooting orders out to sweep around on the side, like, if the enemy's close enough, they're going to hear those call-outs. So he looked into actually locking down the comm so nobody could actually nobody could mute their mic in game, so that even if they did use an outside program, their in-game voice nearby was still being sent out. But he'll talk a little bit about how he wasn't able to do that.
but we just couldn't do it. So
I knew I was being dirty doing it, but I was like, yo, dude,
Nah, it's good.
until I know
It's
what I'm
fine,
doing,
chat. It's fine.
legit, I do it in Discord with the team. If
There
we
you
get on
go.
the play,
Scott
like, we
does
do
it.
it. We go in Discord and mute ourselves in game and run around talking Discord. So
So for a game that's in early access, what's your vision of a full release? Is it a performance thing or is it a content marker?
Content.
2 more
want this
maps.
Well, I guess both.
Performance.
Okay.
10 maps come
a
out
little
total.
of each.
Yeah, what was that?
I said it's going to be a little of each then. The performance
Yeah, there's still
as
some
well as content.
performance and content. July's bringing some major content.
Oh my God, is this the last bag?
Between now and March of next year, and I'm not going to tell you what March is, but between now and March of next year, we want to have ready for at least meta store release. I'll say it. Screw it.
Ooh, leaked info.
Yeah, you guys are gonna. I'm no lies. I already know that everyone's investing their time into it. I already know whatever bugs and things show up are gonna get ironed out and smooth. This is gonna be a game changer on the meta store. It really is. I already know. I think I said it. If it was a stock, I'd be throwing my money all in. Because
2,000 reviews on App Lab in 2 months.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine if that was official store.
I can't name anybody who's played it.
Yeah, so I'm not too familiar with this in particular because I don't have a Quest, but I'm assuming and putting together that App Lab is like an unofficial kind of app store. Like, yes, it's built into the Quest, but it's not like the Quest is putting their stamp on it saying this is an official like game, right? That's reserved for Quest store releases. So they're just listed in App Lab on Quest. They're not even an official release yet. And to be doing this well on App Lab is kind of unheard of. I don't think any other title has ever had the success on App Lab that Ghosts of Tabor is seeing, which is really interesting.
Especially like in our Discord, it's like everybody, other content creators are all over this thing.
My flat screen gaming friends, my friends in real life that don't play VR, they're still flat screen boys. They sent me videos of Ghosts of Tabor.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I think that's so cool that
So
it's
many
leeching out to
people
flat screen people.
that just approach us and say, we bought a headset to play Ghost of
That
Tabor,
is
and it
so
blows
cool. That
me
is so
away.
cool.
Like, it blows me away because I don't know of another game that's done that besides Beat Saber, and I'm not comparing myself to Beat Saber at all. Don't think that's what I'm saying. But for people to say those type of things to you when you were just begging between two platforms to send 10,000 copies so no one would lose their job, to not having to worry about that ever again, like, blows your mind.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. I'm so confident when this goes.
Like when it's when a game is doing so well and so successful and getting received so well that people are buying headsets that never had headsets before just to play Ghosts of Tabor. That just speaks leaps and bounds for how much people are enjoying this. I think that is so cool to hear. And like he said, it's like, when have you heard another game doing that in so long? He mentions Beat Saber, but Beat Saber was like one of the first releases, within the first year, a couple years of VR even existing. It just hasn't happened really. You don't hear people, oh yeah, I bought a VR headset just because Contractors came out. It's not something you really hear. So it just speaks to how people are receiving the game. It's insane. Chat, since we have more interview to go through, I figured we'll actually line up similar guns, and I'll move some of the... Thanks for the follow. I'll move the mags onto the wall next to our guns so we can have a good visualization of what mags we have for which gun, since this is our hardcore account and I can't just buy mags from the store, right? Yeah, so we have some people in chat who fall under the same exact thing.
What's the official Quest store? It's
Yeah,
gonna be
Gorilla
on the
Tag
top
was
selling,
big.
like 100%.
Real
For kids.
quick.
And you know what? A big part of that is it's exactly what you said at the start of the interview with, hey, developers don't do what everybody else is doing. You said, hey, there's no extraction-based shooter in VR.
That's right.
Well, and even if you did, there's not going to be one probably in the short term like this.
But you
Not
found
at
a
all.
popular genre that's yet to be checked off, and you did it yourself. And look at the results,
Yeah.
So I think that you took a risk, but look at the outcome of it,
The next game's gonna blow people's socks off too.
Hey,
It's
what?
gonna be good.
The next game, he said? Wait, what? What?
So, just to be clear, you have multiple games in the.
We have 6 games written down, fleshed out that we want to make. The next
6 games, chat. If this was their first, what the hell are they planning? And if this is done this well and they did it in 11 months, what the hell are they planning? 6?
next one is gonna be called Last Call,
Last Call.
and it is Daisy.
I don't know if any of you
Going
guys
in and
know
going,
Daisy.
What do we love in flat screen that isn't in VR yet? And let's
Yep,
do that
let's
ourselves.
make it.
You gonna put Rust on the list anytime?
Rust.
Actually, one of our senior developers.
I love
Spoon
Rust. I
Fed
played it a ton.
From Swordsman. He has a game that's in development. He said he'll never release it on Quest, at least Quest 2. And he doesn't. The game is far along. It's called Grim VR,
Grim VR.
and it is Rust. And it
No
is
way,
like
Rust is
5
coming.
years. He said he won't release this for another 5 years, and
Oh,
I
it's a
am begging
long
him
way
to
out,
let
though.
me publish it, to be the publisher.
Ooh.
Combat Waffle, like begging. that I played it. I'm like, this game will be amazing. So he made a comment the other day. He's like, we're gonna make DayZ, huh? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'll take it. Worked on the Tarkov, the Rust, and now the DayZ and the Rust VR.
God,
worked on
is
all
that
three titles. Let's
exciting?
go.
That's
He's like,
exciting.
my resume's stacked.
Yeah, it is.
Oh no,
Well,
I'm dying for someone to.
If
I
it's
love
5 years out
Rust.
too. You can't say it won't. Like you
Chat, press 1 if you've ever played Rust or know of it, and press 2 if you have no idea what Rust is. I think Rust hit mainstream. I think most people know what it is. I used to play it all the time. I've got like 600 to 1,000 hours in it. It's so fun. Look at, there's not 1, 2 in there. Everybody knows. Rust in VR, talking shit and having body language and being like, fuck you, I'm gonna steal your stuff, like playing guitar, shooting, doing all the base building and defending. Oh my god. Oh, it'd be so fun. It would be so fun. Oh god, Chancellor in the maid outfit. Oh god! No. You have to be 18 or older to get a job as a maid. Crow. Alright, let's continue.
you said
Chat.
definitely not on the Quest 2,
Well,
but
yeah,
who knows
that's-
where the hardware is going to be in 5
I've been
years.
trying to get him to release it like in a few months.
Yeah, that's what
Publish
I'm
it.
thinking. It's like that's 5 years with no peer pressure.
Yeah.
you got Scott coming down on you constantly.
With
about
that Ghosts of Tabor 11-month
I
deadline.
just made
you
his
know?
Only on
logo
forums.
for him. Like I did last calls, and I was like, "Hey, let me make you a
G3s.
logo," because he just had this logo he was gonna make in Photoshop and like Paint, Microsoft Paint. I'm like, dude, let me make you like a professional logo, and it turned out great. And like in the short stack in Z-Storm Gaming, 2 streamers have been playing it, and they've been streaming it. You can see it on their Twitch, on Z-Storm's Twitch.
We'll have to check it out,
It's like
chat.
Grim, and it was crazy.
He's been Strauss over here has been begging for Rust every week, so I know he's going to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, keep an eye on it.
And so, did everybody think you were crazy with your 12-month deadline? Like, what was it like getting people on the team and being like, "Hey, I want
Seriously.
this in 12
we
months"?
need in less than a year.
Was
How do you approach people who want a job and be like, yo, this is how quickly I want to pump this game out, in an unheard of amount of time, within a year? Like, people are just gonna say no. You know what I mean? But let's find out. Let's find out, chat.
was everybody on board that they could do it, or did everybody think you were kind of nuts?
They were on board, but to add the pressure, we added the countdown timer on the website. And every Monday opening meeting and every Friday close of business meeting, I reminded them of how much time was left. And I don't know, man. There were times where like I came like we're never gonna make it. Like the weekend we had the launch party.
Can you imagine? They just have a timer on the wall and like it just says this is how much time we have left for release, and having it be a constant reminder to push the team. It's a good way to motivate, to just constantly remind of the time you have left, you know? It's an interesting idea.
The launch was on a Monday, so that Friday we're in Orlando, Florida, which is like 3 hours from me. And we got this hotel. We rented out Full Sail University. Had this big, beautiful launch party, thanks to Full Sail University, which is a gaming university, the game development university. Friday night, the launch party's on Saturday night. Friday night, we're all standing around our fire pit at our hotel,
Thanks for the follow.
drinking, smoking cigars, just like cutting it up with. We just left like the content creators dinner. They all came out, and at that point, we had still not been approved for App Lab. And we released on Monday. And our publisher, we got denied because we had application space warp on, and application space warp is not allowed to be ran on a App Lab game, but it is a full store release, so we had to resubmit. So Beyond Frames, our publisher, who have been absolutely amazing, stepped up, went to bat, got Meta to review it, and on a daggone Friday night at like 8 p.m. Infish Jonas just refreshes the page because we're actually pushing an update
These are being annoying.
to the testers while we're like partying, like we're coding at the same time. And he's like, Scott, come here. I'm like, oh God, what happened? He's like, we did it. I'm like, we did what? He's like, we got approved for App Lab. This is on Friday night and we released on Monday.
The fact that it was that
We just
close
had
on
pure faith that
releasing
it was
is
gonna happen,
just
man. Like we really
insane.
willed this into existence. So yeah, people said there's no way you can do it. Like I said, the developers of DayZ Champions Days told me it'd be 5 years and like $15 million or $10 million to make this game. And I told them they were nuts. Like, no way. No way. And we did it. Like, no one thought we could do it. And people like you all didn't know it took us 11 months. But when people would come in and complain, like in the first week, they'd be like, hey guys, like the community stuff, like this was made in 11 months.
Yes, chat.
And people just, and they just like,
be
oh
quiet.
shit, okay.
Understand.
Like,
it's gonna have bugs, chat.
Like, I'm sorry, it's got bugs, and I hate it too.
They
and
hate it
affects me when I
too.
play.
Yes.
I played the other night.
All the
Played
things I was
5
saying
raids and almost
earlier.
uninstalled my own game. Like, I was so mad because of the people in Silo
Thanks for the
glitching through
follow.
the ceiling. So it's like,
Yes,
like
yes.
I get it. Like, it affects me too, and I hate it for the player base. But I mean, we did the unthinkable, and we're going to continue to do the unthinkable. And there's nothing out there besides death that's going to slow us down.
Love that.
Well, and I'll defend any bugs because it's clear right from the start. It's
Early
it's a game,
access.
It's early access.
Yeah,
it's a
you
game in
can't.
progress. It's like I didn't actually expect it to be as far as it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we figured out workarounds for some of the bugs until they're fixed because we're like, this is the only game we've ever been like, I want to still play it, and if this is what I got to do to play it, I'm gonna fucking play it.
That's great. Makes me really happy to hear. Just so you know.
Yeah, no, we got the faith in the whole team, and I've said it from day one. I'm like, I see a bigger picture with this. That's if half of it even comes remotely true, then it's a home run for me. So
I agree.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, the glitches for us or bugs, it's very minor. Like, okay, so we'll party chat it, but other than that, we're not doing exploits or anything like that. But
Good. Don't do exploits,
I
chat.
mean, the total of my jank at this point is I've lost my backpack climbing a ladder, and when I first load into an area, there's like 5 to 10 seconds of potential frame rate drops, and then that's all gone, and then that's really
no
it.
real issues while playing.
No, not. I mean, one time I picked up every once in a while I'll pick up a item in a helicopter, for a couple seconds, and then it stops, and it's funny though. It's no like game ruining.
No.
Like, I can't play this game. Luckily, I'm not good enough at it to hang out in a raid long enough to deal with other people being exploit. I usually grab a couple guns. I go in, get a half full backpack.
I'm out.
Couple assault rifles.
I'm out.
10 minutes, 12 minutes. I'm out. I'm not waiting there 45
make
minutes.
money.
Yeah.
Although I did buy the Founders DLC.
Yeah, we had to.
Oh,
No
thanks,
freaking
guys.
way.
You
Dude,
want a
that was
VR headset,
amazing.
Alan? They're pretty sweet.
You
To
sell
me, it
me-
was an amazing.
Have fun, Chunkla.
And what's the full vision of this game? I know you said a couple more maps, and
organizer?
some performance, and then it's you
Yeah.
feel it's good for release. But
Dude,
what
I
about
don't
post
do this
release? Do you
anymore.
have a full vision for this game?
Yeah, I mean, I went 10 maps total.
The only thing keeping me sane during organizing all this stuff is the fact that we can listen to this interview while we do it. I'm dying, chat. But look at the progress. All the bags are empty. That's done. We have to deal with that mess. Here's everything put away. Let's do a quick recap. I mean, we've got tons of food. We got tons of water. We've got tons of med. We got tons of primary ammo modules. Tons of grenades. Smoke grenades. Ooh, no, these nods need to go over here. We've got a decent amount of really high-level nods. Like, a really good amount. So those are really nice. We can use those in missile silo. Tons of optics of different types. We've got a few scopes for snipers later on, so we can bring those in and test those out. Lots of foregrips, lasers, flashlights. We're light on silencers, but we do have a handful of them. So all of this not purchased at all, which is kind of crazy to look at and think about. All of this was gathered in raid over time and stolen from other players. So it's definitely cool seeing everything laid out and organized just for the sake of like visualizing it. But other than that, I hate putting it away. Like, save me. I don't. Please. Why do I have to put all this stuff away? But it's going to be very easy to find and grab things now, so I'm thankful to do that. Because before, I would just look at bags and be like, I'm pretty sure there's some brass in here, but, you know, like, I have no idea where, because it's just a pile of shit in a bag. So this does help a lot with it, but my God, is it taking time to do. I know, we gotta hire a maid. I know, we can't use any purple key cards anymore. Community Day is on Thursday, which we play with all of you guys, chat.
A lot of different features. Like, there's going to be stuff that rolls out in July that we still aren't going to be done. You're talking full melee combat. We want to bring in bows, crossbows.
Hey, like, yo, what?
And that's one of the big reasons Spoon is so great, because the new Swordsman VR bow that's so amazing, Spoon created. So we get somebody that knows what they're doing with melee combat coming from Swordsman, but we're also looking at a comp mode. It'll be like its own standalone game that's going to be based off of a flat screen game, the way it works, Hunt Showdown. So it'll be really based off of the mechanics there and how their raids work.
Interesting, a comp mode for Tabor.
Trios, duos, and solos you could play comp mode on. And
interesting.
We're going to partner with Virtual Reality Esports League, of course, since I'm over there, and they're going to host everything. And I'm sure we'll host some stuff ourselves. I don't know, man. I don't see this game being done and like completely done in my head for 5 years.
5 years.
Like I cannot see us, even like when it's done.
That's how much stuff they have planned, and content that doesn't exist, and progression that doesn't exist, and maps and guns and leveling systems and crafting systems and all of these things, quest systems. They have so much in store for this game. This is just, well, now they're on like, what, 13 months of release? 14 months of release? This is what we have in 14 months. Heath doesn't think he'll be done in 5 years at the pace that he's going, and his pace is incredibly fast. So that should give you a bit of a taste and an idea of what's to come in the future for Tabor. This is just getting, we're just getting a tiny taste of it right now with its current release. There's so much in store for us. It's gonna be crazy. I did play a lot of Hunt Showdown.
And like, okay, we have no more content to bring. We still have to have like 3 devs working at all times on this game. Like, I just don't. I don't know. I just don't see it being done for a really long time. And all the games that are coming out come from the same universe where you're going to have Advantage, and there are Umbrella. And it's only going to get crazier with Advantage as this game develops and goes on. So
I don't know where to put shit anymore.
Spoilers, and you'll be able to find stuff, and because your whole mission of this is to figure out what's happened, what caused the nuclear night to put you in the situation you're in now. This is a couple years after the nuclear night, which you're living in Tabor now. So that's the whole goal, is to figure out why this happened, and figure out who Advantage was, and those kind of things. And you're gonna find these clues. Like, it's got some MMO storytelling behind it as well. It's all coming. It's gonna take some time, but it's coming. The character leveling's coming in now.
Ooh, we're just talking about that.
MMO style leveling's coming in soon.
Yeah,
a bunch of stuff. So I mean, it's all on the way.
I don't know if you guys understand, all of you, what MMO style leveling and skill progression is, but it means that every little thing that you do has a stat that gains experience as you do those things. We're talking about just running around and spending stamina, right? That's going to level up your endurance. So you have a larger stamina pool, and you can sprint for longer without getting out of breath. And you just level that up by doing the thing, by running around in raid, which you would do normally. We're talking about when they have weight systems for backpacks. You'll get less overweight, and you can carry more stuff as you overload your backpack and run around at a much slower pace because you've got a big backpack. That's going to level up your strength doing those things and running around with too heavy of a backpack or a kit. And as your strength levels up, you'll be able to have a higher weight limit so you can carry larger things without being overweight. These are things like just getting hungry over time, and as you continue to get hungry and eat food, you'll level your hunger and you can last a bit longer before you have to eat. Same with your thirst. We're talking about just firing an MP7 or SMG style of gun over and over again and leveling up your SMG skill and maybe getting a little bit more stability from it, or just the fact that you'll have less misfires and less gun jamming issues, which is going to be coming in the future when they have maintenance on guns. You could be firing your gun and a shell cartridge gets stuck mid-burst fire, and you got to reach over and pull that shell casing out of the side of your chamber, re-rack the bolt, so you can actually continue to fire, because the gun will not fire and work properly with that shell casing stuck there. So it can make those things less likely to happen, and all sorts of tiny progression systems like that. Crafting skill, gun cleaning skill and leveling that up, looting skill, just every little tiny detail you can think of that you can do. There'll be a progress bar and an experience bar, and you get rewards from leveling those up and better perks and stats. It's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be nuts. Yeah, they're directly modeling Tarkov, and they're not shy about it. Tarkov is their biggest inspiration and pull, and they're not they're not shy about that fact. Thanks for the follow.
It's all coming, and it's going to take a little while, but we're going to get there, and it's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
I've encouraged anyone who will listen. You need to jump on board of this right now. Don't wait.
And you hear, it 5 years vision after release.
Dude, it's got no. And I think even if after we'll say 3 years, if you guys were all like, you know what, we'll keep the game, but we're not gonna continue to pump out updates, and I don't think it would still be going anywhere.
They're not gonna do
that. Last the test of time, regardless.
Yeah, and it's your idea.
I have two PPSHs.
Finish this game in entirety and
finish
releasing DLC, then move on to other games, or do you want to pump out some of these 6 games?
October 2024. October 2024. Last call. DayZ comes out.
What?
You know what?
Wow.
If Ghosts of Tabor is any
wait. They already have a release date set, October 2024, for the DayZ to come out in VR. Holy shit, these guys are crazy, man.
I'll trust Combat Waffle Studios with deadlines.
Yeah.
Ghosts of Tabor is one of those things. When we made it, we knew what we were making was going to be the bones and the skeletal system for everything we made in the future. So we built that within mind that, hey, here are these 6 other. I've even got like the idea for like a drone racing game in VR where you wear the goggles. I don't, man.
No.
I mean,
I'm
where I
kidding.
wake up with
People like
ideas
it.
literally when I sleep, and I've done this for years, and I write down ideas. Like I'll be in my have a room and wake up and write it down so I don't forget. And I've got notebooks full of ideas for video games and movies.
Wait, that's a PPSH too? I have 3 of them?
And I don't see us slowing down. I mean,
shit.
we're going to hire more devs just to work on Last Call.
How do I have 3
Like,
PPSHs?
we're not pulling anybody off of Ghost of Tabor. Like, we're going to expand so we have full staff at GOT, and we'll
So that's a really good thing to hear as well, is they're not planning on pulling the dev team away from Ghost of Tabor to work on these tiles. They're planning on hiring a specific select staff, new hires, to work on those other games. So we don't run into this issue, which is a valid worry and concern for us as the players, to be like, oh, well, now they're just going to be focusing on this new game. And the time spent it's going to be a lot lacking on Ghost of Tabor here. But he's making the claim right now that he's hiring a separate dev team just to work on those things. So we don't lose manpower on Ghost of Tabor's progress. That continues in full force. And they're just using the funding, which is super smart, to flesh out other game ideas that they have and be able to hire a staff for that. So that's exciting. Thanks for the follow, guys.
3 to 4 more people just to work on Last Call, just because it's working off what we've already built. And I don't know, man. I'm very I'm
gonna do some mag work.
Trying to think of the word. I just like to do stuff, and I get bored if I don't, and I don't want to get bored. So we got to keep moving and pumping and grinding and pushing, and
it's a really good mindset to have.
And never being happy and never being satisfied. To always make sure we've set a standard, I feel like, for games at this level from developers that guys have had a lot more money and a lot more time than me, and I feel like they've fallen flat. And
yes, they have.
I feel like I've set this benchmark for myself, and the only thing that I know how to do with my background is to go higher, is to beat that benchmark. I like to always keep pushing.
Scott's such a Chad, man.
Who knows what's coming for Combat Waffle in the future, but there's definitely more games, a lot more games, and a lot more cool shit.
I look forward to it. I look forward to it so much.
Also, when this hits the store, I think it's gonna
stupid.
spike some other developers to go, hold on a second here, because a lot of times I think people are just cautious of not wanting to test the waters because of the financial risk involved and the possibility of failure. But I mean, you can't ignore, even in App Lab, what's going on here with it. It's not.
No, there's something magic there.
Yeah, just look at the numbers in themselves. It's like, this is not your normal game.
Meta knows.
Guaranteed
We've talked to Meta. They get it.
Well, how can they not? You
can't ignore it.
We've got our publishers are doing a great job with them. I'm actually flying over to Sweden here next month, and I believe I think Jose, our guy at Meta that we talk to a lot, I think he's going to try to make it over, and we're working with those guys. And I think what is in store for the future of us, and for what I've heard from Meta, is nothing but great things. Not saying they're acquiring us. That's not what I'm trying to say.
They better not.
I don't think I could ever agree to that. After watching what happened, unless I decided I just want to live on a beach for the rest of my life and not worry about anything.
I hope he doesn't decide that.
But I think the way that Meta's going with
this is one thing that scares me. What he says is like, if I want to go live on a beach somewhere, I'll let Meta acquire us. Which, I mean, God, that's such an attractive thing, right? You make a game, you stand out as a company, and then Meta buys you for like millions of dollars, right? And just buys the company out. I hope he doesn't do that, because it's so attractive. It would take such a strong will for somebody not to take the deal. And it would definitely be a bad thing, more than likely, because we've seen a lot of other companies, VR companies, get acquired by Meta, and Meta just basically kills the company, and they don't release stuff. So, that's one thing that scares me about what he's saying. He's saying he won't do it, but then he drops that little hint of if I want to live on a beach somewhere for the rest of my life, then, maybe.
The publishing stuff that they're doing now and getting away from the full studio acquisitions is a smart move. A lot less overhead, and that's sort of the deal that we are hoping that we will get with Meta soon.
Okay.
And that we're talking about. And I think that just brings more eyes to Ghost of Tabor. And I think if you bring more eyes to Ghost of Tabor, then you put, like you said, more devs on their toes to do better. Because the fact, I say it every day that I see these bugs and you're like, oh, we deal with the bugs. It's okay. I'm like, guys, we really appreciate that. Holy hell. But to me, it's like, how abused have we been as VR gamers that we're just okay just now dealing with this kind of stuff, right? And it's like,
yep. VR games are buggy messes of shit. Most VR games, and a lot of you guys know this if you've been in the VR field for a while and have been trying out random stuff, most VR games are a buggy, janky mess, right? And he's saying, how bad is it that we've just gotten used to that? And he doesn't want that. He doesn't want us to be used to that. So the bugs definitely, no pun intended, bug him. And the other developers. They're looking to work on it and get it all polished up, and it'll just happen in time.
We as developers need to do better.
I just gathered all these mags over time.
We need to make games and continue to support games after they come out. And I feel like that's what happens a lot in the VR space too, is games come out, people love them, and then they just fall flat because they just don't crank out updates. We try to push an update every week.
I love that.
You have to.
An update every week is crazy.
You have to do that. Or you're going to end up like games that I love, Contractors hasn't had an update since December. What the heck is going on?
And they just announced a new game too.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be PUBG.
It's a battle
Contractors
royale.
Is making
it's
a
like
PUBG.
Yeah, from what I understand.
We've already got.
So you don't want
Population
that model
1
where you have another game in the work and then updates slow down on Ghosts of Tabor. No, you want to keep it going. And I keep meaning to give a shout out to them. Your publisher, Beyond Frames, one of the top publishers in VR. Ace and the team over at
amazing.
They're badass. So that's awesome to hear. They were able to help you get that last minute, App Lab release and that.
Well, and publishers also,
It speaks volume to that importance of it.
Oh my god. Yeah, and they genuinely, a good publisher believes in the project. So they're gonna carry that passion because they want more than anything to see that project come to fruition. So
Yeah,
it was touch and go getting to publish. We were talking to Vertigo Games. We were speaking to them. We were talking to 2 other publishers and Beyond Frames. And for my first meeting with Ace, it was just myself, my lead developer, and Ace, and a phone call on Discord. And from that moment, I knew I did not want to sign with any publisher. And it was just, we connected. I'm one of those people, when I meet you, I know if I like you within 30 seconds, even if it's a phone call. And Ace is just a homie. Like he's great, man. And then I got to know the rest of the team, like Mava, the head of publishing over there. Mava's a rock star. Like Ace has like Wonder Woman in his studio, like, you know what I mean? Like, she's amazing.
That's so sweet to say.
And she works crazy hours like me. So it's awesome. I can always get a hold of her, like at crazy
the 8 p.m.
late
release.
nights. Yeah, they've been amazing. They've done nothing but support us. And our relationship's only growing, and we're already looking at talking about the next games and publishing deals with them for those. So it's like, I don't see myself signing with another publisher. Even if Ace wasn't interested in a game, I would self-publish before I went with another publisher, just because I love the guys at Beyond Frame so much. Like I don't think anyone can ever give me the.
I don't know much about Beyond Frames as a publisher. I haven't looked into what other VR titles they've released. Does anybody know what other games they've released? Because if Scott is speaking so highly of them, I'd be interested to know what else they've done. You know what I mean? Does anyone know, chat? Yo, thanks for the follow. What games have they made? We'll have to look into it.
Level of service that they go out and then give every single day.
Thanks for the follow.
To me as a game developer.
Yeah, whenever I see Beyond Frames attached to a game as a publisher, I'm pretty confident in it. You know,
there's a handful there. They're legit.
Yeah,
we don't have to second guess it.
We had a little bit too much fun with Wands Alliance.
Wands was great.
Wands
Wands
Alliance
Alliance is good too. VRL hosted a league for those guys, for the Wands Alliance.
Yeah, it's like I said, we got a little bit too into it for a bit. So I can't believe it's this far into it, and I've yet to ask for the studio name, Combat Waffle Studios. I mean, that's awesome freaking game development studio. So how did that name come to be? And like, was that your idea? Was that the team idea?
So it's for a while. I don't know if you know who Nine Line Apparel is.
Yes.
Okay,
Is that a
so
skater
I've
company?
known those guys for a long time. I know the CEO there, Tyler. He was a Night Stalker at Fort Campbell when I was at Fort Campbell. So I've been connected in the military community for years. I went to a lot of Nine Line, you know, like charity events and stuff like that. Took clients there too.
Maybe military.
And
base.
I was actually their professional esports streamer for a long time on the Nine Line YouTube.
That's cool.
Under the name Damage X, and I did this for him like 4 nights a week.
Scott being a little
buddy of mine, Joe,
esports VR gamer.
that was a Marine that did it with me.
I think that's so
and
cool.
one of our T-shirts was a combat waffle, and it said "Explosion of Flavor." And but combat waffles come from what we called landmines in the military. They're like combat waffles. They're like little waffles. They're combat waffles, and that's where it all came from. And I was talking to Joe one day, probably in like, I don't know, March, before the studio launched in April, and I'm getting ready to fill out all the paperwork in the state of Florida with my lawyer. And I was like, dude, I have no idea what to call the studio. He's like, Combat Waffle Studios. I'm like, fucking boom. Like, boom. Like, what did I not think of that? And really, so if Joe Salmons, if you're listening, you tell people all the time, if it was not for Joe, we would have not used Combat Waffle as our name. And I think it just adds to the craziness of everything. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good game development studio name.
Thanks for the follow.
So when I saw Combat Waffle Studios, I was like,
We always
oh,
reference.
yeah. When we're reading it, you know, we do a review or impressions. We go,
Yeah.
all right, who's the developer? Who's the publisher? We've seen some gems in Combat Waffle.
They're up there.
Yeah. And then, you know, you touched on the lore a little bit briefly, but, you know, for our listeners that don't know the lore or anything, I know it's available on the website. Do you mind to touch a little bit about, you know, what kind of the background story of the game is?
Yeah. So basically, it's 2044. You're in a country of Tabor.
We're gonna get a little bit of a lore
cut off
background
from all outside communication. There was an incident that happened a couple years beforehand, and it was they called the nuclear night. That night everything ended, and your whole job is to survive and figure out who started the nuclear night. The Volk blame the Ghost blame the Volk, and the Phoenix blame both.
Interesting.
So, and the Volk blames the rest, started all of this by starting the rest of the world from human experimentation. And they believe that Advantage was experiment on humans. And they blamed all the governments of the world for allowing it to happen, even though all governments denied knowledge of it. So I think you can probably see where this is going to go in the future. But this is, I don't know, it's a lore game, but it's not like a heavy lore game. But I think Proper D, Duncan, who's our doctor, and then Soul have been writing a lot of lore. Soul BC is our TikTok guy, and I love all of it. And I'm
So if any of you guys are into lore, I never really followed lore much in video games, but I know there's a ton of people that really, really enjoy it. So he's talking about how, you know, they're doing all the writing right now for it, and that kind of stuff and that storytelling should be peppered throughout the world, much like MMOs do their storytelling. It's not just like in your face, this is what's going on. It's like one of those things you kind of just have to discover over time by paying attention to the world around you and looking for clues and piecing those things together. So if there's any lore junkies in chat, they are giving you the IV drip. They're working on that. And we should see a lot of that with quest lines as we learn about the different NPCs and their backgrounds, and we'll get their just kind of what they're all about and why they're doing what they're doing throughout those quest lines when they release, because it's not going to just be the missions that we have now where they're just repeatables and you just kind of pick it up, you do it again, you re-grab the same exact one. There's going to be quest lines with stories, reasons behind why they want the things that they're asking for, and completing that quest will unlock the next one in that line. And as you continue down that long quest tree that requires you to do the one before it, we'll see these large payouts and rewards at the end, and those will be really, really, really cool to have once they come out. So that'll just take some time.
ready to expand and just drive it home and spread it across all the games and just get deep as we can get deep and just enjoy it, the mushiness of it.
Thank you, Hex.
That's awesome. And I'd be hard pressed not ask this. I mean, do you have any tips for players struggling in Ghosts of Tabor?
Get good.
Yeah, just play the tutorial.
Play the tutorial.
Like, play every station of the tutorial.
That's good advice.
Like, I mean, and then as my lead developers say, a lot of the pros, the biggest tip I can give you is just get good, kid. That's really it.
Just get good, kid. Chat. You heard it from Scott first.
If you pay attention to tutorial, you're gonna learn everything. It's gonna get more.
Don't worry, Chad. I'll be making more videos on tips and things like that, so I'll help you out with it as well. If you do watch the YouTube videos and the streams, I'm very vocal about why I do the things that I do, so you can pick up a lot of those things there. But I'll condense some down, some high-end tips that I think are really worthwhile, and I'll just shove them all in one video, and I'll help you out there.
Linear soon, so you can't skip stuff. We're gonna revamp that.
I have two of these.
We wanted to give people freedom if they just wanted to go back to the target range and not have to do everything
These are different guns.
over again. So that's why we did this area. But now that we're putting the range inside the bunker, you don't have to worry about that anymore. So the tutorial will get more linear, and just play that, and I think you'll be fine. Like, if you have questions, just email support@combatwaffle.com, and Michael DeFresney will help you out.
I want to give you credit, and I
Where do I
guess
put these
criticism,
rifles at?
but it's good criticism. The amount of guns you have is fantastic. I love the fact that only certain clips are going to go with the right gun.
Very realistic.
But I was listening to somebody beefing about, I can never figure out what clip goes with what or what the gun is, and I'm like,
It's a
I
mag.
think there's a long-term expectation that you're going to know like exactly what a Glock looks like and how to operate it, including the safeties that
Yeah.
a lot of the guns have, and being able to go from full auto to single shot. But for people who aren't going to be capable of learning every single gun name and the
You
ammo
will.
that
You'll
goes
learn it
with
over
other
time.
than, up to the point of like even saying like this is a 9mm round, but now you
Yeah.
gotta know what does the 9mm round go for? Which cartridge can I put this in, or magazine? Is that just deliberate to leave it like that, or will there be kind of like a cheat? in
You'll
there
learn it over
somehow?
time, chat. It all just takes
if you
practice.
actually look in the the market, if you walk up to a gun, it tells you it's an MP5, and it tells you on like a little placard there, it tells you, and then it tells you on the placard on the magazine, MP5 magazine, takes 9x19, those kind of things, and that's as deep as we'll ever go.
I think that's fair.
That's exactly how I've been doing it. I'm like, oh, what do I got for my? And so I go right to the store, and then I'm like, okay, that's the clip I need, and then I go back to
I
my
have
safe
enough
house.
room for all these
I
guns.
bundled
chat.
them now all together. So
realism in that regard is very important to you.
Absolutely. I don't I do not want to go down the days of like looking in HUDs and menus and that kind of stuff. I don't
Yeah,
want to
HUDs
do that
and menus
journey.
suck.
Maybe in Last Call we'll do something like that, because you can be a little bit more cartoony since it'll be zombies. But like in this game, I do not want to stray away from realism. And it took a long time to come up with a way even to check ammo count, to figure out how are we going to do this and keep it realistic without having a HUD pop up. And for mags that don't have like windows on them or dots where you can see how many bullets.
I think that's such a clever solution to check ammo, because like and I think he talks about this in a little bit, but like in real life, not all mags, like let's take a Stenag mag for instance, okay? So you've got this mag, and not all mags have a window in the side so that you can see how many rounds and if they go all the way to the bottom of the mag. You kind of just get used to how heavy it is, because rounds, each bullet is decently heavy. So filling a ton of these, a full mag is going to feel, you can just pick it up off your chest and just kind of like hold it and know over time, just, okay, this weighs this much. This one's really heavy, so it's full. Or this is about half the weight, so I know this mag is half full. Or if it's really light, you know it's really low. So we don't want to see HUDs in VR where you look at it and it shows a fucking number popping up, because it's just ugly, right? And we want realism. That's the whole goal of Tabor, is to pump out as much realism as we can in this game. So shaking the mag is a really clever solution, because it kind of emulates that whole I'm seeing how heavy it is, and you get those vibrations for the feedback. And I think it's a really clever solution. I don't think I would have ever thought of something like that. And I think it works really well, so we can avoid those disgusting HUDs. So I really, really like that. Good on them. This is a good decision. Hex, you're asking about not having gear fear. Just put it on and go in, even if you're scared. You got to understand that the better loot that you have and armor you have on you, it ups your chances of survival. If I go in with just a Glock and I have no armor, and I get into a fight with another player and he has decent armor or even mid-grade armor and a mid-grade gun that can shoot fully auto, he's going to be able to pump way more DPS out on me if we're in just a head-to-head fight. And I'm going to have to either pop a single headshot or hit a bunch of body shots, and that armor is going to soak up the damage, lowering my DPS that I can output. So the other player, if you guys are both shooting each other at the same exact time, the player who's more geared is going to win, right? If you guys are equally landing your shots on each other. So knowing that, if you bring better gear in, you will decimate and have a much higher chance of winning the fights against people who are less geared than you. So you will actually make more money statistically over time, bringing in better loot, because you will survive, you will be able to stack your bags up, steal other people's loots by winning your fight, and getting out. But you just gotta accept the fact that you're going to die sometimes to people who have near nothing. They'll get a crazy headshot with a Glock, right? And they're naked and you're fully kitted out. It's going to happen sometimes because it's not guaranteed. It's just very unlikely for those things to happen, but it's going to happen sometimes. And don't use those deaths as like, I could have just brought nothing in and like, it wouldn't have mattered, then I wouldn't have died and lost all that stuff. It's like, think about all the money you made with that gear prior, okay? And then yes, eventually you're gonna die and lose it, but it's just all part of it. So just do it. Just bring your stuff in, because it sitting on the wall is literally doing you no good other than looking pretty. It's you're not putting it to use, and you're not getting practice with those good guns either. Each gun behaves a little bit different and has different kick and has different grip points, so you need to spend time with those guns to get good at them. So you need to bring them in. Just do it. Just grab them, bring them in, and give it a try.
bullets are in the mag. So we came up with the shake. And it tells you 3 buzzes, 2 buzzes, 1 buzz. Tells you how much ammo you have. So, and that's the best way we could think, because I can do it by just picking a mag up and simulating fill weight in real life, right?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, it's about halfway full. 5.56. So this is the easiest way to do it. So we're trying to stay away from menus, HUD systems, all that stuff. Man, I don't want it. I feel like it's overdone. It just litters every game.
It does litter every game.
What's crazy is just through repetition, people are going to know that
That's this gun. That's that ammo.
Yeah, because I haven't cross-referenced everything, but so far from what I've seen, the ammo is legit to the actual firearm in real life.
Yeah, so
The
you're
way
actually
they
learning
function,
all of
even
that.
MP5, where you have to lock it back with a 30-round mag. If it's full, and this part is not implemented, but with an MP5, and I have one of my gun safes sitting right there, so I tell people all the time when they tell me I'm wrong, I'm like, let me show you.
I can show you. Yeah.
So the MP5, you have to lock the bolt back if you have 30 rounds in it, because there's a small little bump on the bottom of the bolt of an MP5 that pushes down against that 30 rounds. So to be able to load one
I
in,
have an MP5?
you have to rack it back, put it in, put your mag in, then let it go forward, put one in the chamber.
I do.
If you put a mag in that only has like 28, 29 rounds in, you don't have to lock it back, because that bolt, the little nub, has enough room to flex the mag down, push the mag down to where you can load it. I think every
Let me show off what he's saying here, because a lot of people don't know this, actually. I didn't know it until I heard it just now. But, so the MP5, you have to rock the bolt back to get a mag in, because he's saying this last bullet that kind of sticks up, it hits something in here that doesn't allow you to load the mag, right? So you need to pull the bolt back so it's open and can shove that first round in, right? So we open it up. We put the full mag in, it goes in just fine. But if you have 29 rounds in a mag, okay, and it's not a full mag, you can actually load it without pulling that bolt back, saving you a ton of time. So remember that, chat, and instead of top filling your extra MP5 mags to 30 rounds, take one of those rounds out, make them 29, and then, yes, you're down 1 round, but you'll never have to sit here, open the bolt, pop in the 30 round mag, and close it. You can save a ton of time, just load them with 29 rounds, and you can load them without pulling that bolt back because it's not getting stuck there. So it works exactly how they do in real life. And all of these guns work that way as well. So you're building some real world knowledge. God forbid you end up in a situation where you have to defend yourself. And you will understand how those weapons work. So it's really interesting. Really, really interesting.
gun in the game I've either shot or owned. So, or I own. I have 2 gun safes here in my office, and that's my life. Like, firearms have been my life since I was knee high, hunting and fishing and stuff in Kentucky. So I love guns. I love everything about them. And yeah, I think I said from the start that, pardon my French, we could fuck up everything else about this game, but we could not fuck up the guns. They had to be perfect. So.
Nope, I respect it. And again, it's going to be, long-term education for people over the long run. Because
exactly.
Repetition, you're going to look.
Chat, what do you think? This wall looks really nice. We've got our AK mags and our AKs, so we can easily visualize how many mags we have. And since I'm on the hardcore account and I can't buy anything, it's nice to just look and be like, okay, I've got this many mags available for these guns, so I know which ones I need to bring out and look for and raid and bring out. So we got plenty of SKS mags. Our G3 mags are getting a little bit light. We luckily have 3 30-rounders though, so that's nice. So we have lots of G3s, but we're pretty light on mags. Tons of mags for the M4, so we can go nuts with those. Tons of mags with the AKs. So this is pretty nice visually to look at. We still have a bunch of mags to go through, and we'll continue to do that and put them in their respective spots near these guns, and we'll finish this interview up. It looks like we've got about 10 minutes left on the interview.
Look at that gun, you're going to go, okay, that's a MAC-10, period. I know what you're
my cat's going nuts.
That's,
Team Up, stop.
I want to make sure that in the future, because I built this in mind, that I want to be able to help brothers and sisters in arms out, and the Ranger Bats and everything else. And
mag.
if I can make this as real life as possible, then we can do this with a DoD, and that was my vision when I built this.
Department of
Go as
Defense.
real as you can go with your weapons and that kind of stuff. where it's now muscle memory even when you come out of VR.
That's awesome.
It's actual
just no
combat
doubt.
training, chat.
You played this game for a couple hours and focus on one pistol. We'll take the Glock, and then gave someone a Glock. They'd probably have a pretty good concept of how they're going to have to load it and cock it
Yeah.
back.
They'll know how to clean it and take it apart and change out parts and here in the next year or so as well. So.
Leak. Did you hear what he said? You're going to know how to take them apart, clean them, and put them back together soon. Which means we're going to get very, very advanced weapon modding. We're talking about removing triggers and putting like hairpin triggers on, different barrels, different chassis and stocks. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get very crazy. And then as far as cleaning it goes, I hinted about it earlier in the stream when we first started, but weapon maintenance and actual weapon durability is going to be a thing. So the longer you're firing and using a gun, the dirtier it gets. The gunpowder is exploding, leaving residue and things like that. And the more dirty or unmaintained your gun is, or old your gun is, the more likely it's going to run into misfires and things of that nature. Where, I talked about earlier, you got the bullet flying out of the chamber when you shoot out of the side casing, and like, that can get stuck if it's not clean and lubed up well, where that casing can slide out. So your casing might get stuck as the bolt comes back forward to load the next round. And if that bolt doesn't close all the way, the gun will not fire again. So you'll have to reach over, pull that casing out, re-rack it, and you're good to go. So cleaning it and maintaining it makes it less likely for those mishaps to happen while you're shooting the gun. And it's going to be something that we're going to have to do. It's really, really cool.
Oh, cleaning is going to become a part of the game?
Cleaning, upgrading barrels, changing out triggers, the competition triggers, so you don't have to squeeze the trigger as far or let the trigger out as far. I mean, real life stuff. Yeah, it's all coming.
Trigger discipline is real in this game too. I'll tell everyone right now.
Yeah. I've tried to pick up a gun by pulling both triggers by accident and taking out a teammate, and in one case even myself.
Yeah.
Shot in the leg.
So I have a server question.
Sure.
Obviously I probably could have jumped into your very active Discord and gotten an answer, but I figure since you're here, you're probably the best one to ask. If you're in a server and it consists of 12 humans and you kill 2 humans, are 2 going to respawn in that time frame, so it's keeping a constant 12 people playing? Oh, so you can literally wipe the server.
You can wipe servers, yeah. Now, when you can do Phoenix runs, that is when players will be able to spawn as a random Phoenix, like on Tarkov, where you can spawn as a random scav with a random kit with about 10, 15 minutes left in the raid, and they'll spawn randomly, so you won't know if it's a Phoenix or a Phoenix AI, Phoenix player, Phoenix AI. That is.
I love this. I loved it in Tarkov. It's a way for people who are struggling and need a kit and don't have any money and have gone through all their guns. They can spawn in as a Fenix. They get a Fenix loadout, and they're basically teamed up with the Fenix. The Fenix will not shoot back at you. You guys are on their faction, and you can go through and pretend to be an AI and kill other players. So you're going to have to now start worrying about, when you see a Fenix, is it an AI Fenix or is it a player Fenix, and having to deal with them appropriately. So it's really interesting. You can find a backpack, you can loot it up, and you can extract and bring all of that loot from the Fenix run back into your bunker. So it's like a free way to do it. And also the spawns are unique for Fenix runs. If you do a Fenix run, how it works in Tarkov is you spawn about halfway through the raid or close to the end of the raid, and it puts you into a raid that has guaranteed players in it still. So if you're somebody like me who stays in raid for very long, about the halfway mark, we're going to start seeing player AIs have the potential of spawning in. So I can't just be like, well, I'm pretty sure I wiped the lobby, and so I can run around, not caring about anything. You'll always have to be on your toes, because you could have player Fenixes spawning in and coming to try and kill you and take all your hard-earned loot. It's a really cool mechanic, and I'm very excited for it. It's going to be sweet. There's so much in store for Tabor coming up.
It's coming.
Because
So
right
if
now
you're
we can
broke-
use this.
If you're broke, go to a Phoenix run and get your gear and get out with it, and you got your gear in your hideout.
So much potential with this game coming.
The server wipes. That's freaking awesome.
And
I
then-
have a question about the server wipe too.
Sure.
If one happens to have acquired the gold AK because they owned the game before the last server wipe, I believe
Is that Dragonov?
will
mag?
it still exist after the next server wipe?
Yes. Yeah, and you'll have a new item, which is going to be a giant golden spoon as a weapon.
What? Excuse
And
me?
same thing with the DLCs. You get the content of your DLC back.
Giant
Yeah.
golden spoon
And
weapon?
July wipe, all of that content will not be in the kiosk anymore. It'll be auto sorted on your walls.
Oh, thank
In your
God. Did you guys hear that? All of your kiosk items, you know how when a new wipe starts and you got to go to the kiosk and fucking grab everything that you get from whatever edition of the game and go put it on your walls, and it takes forever to do? Well, they're saying it's going to be auto sorted on your wall, so you don't have to do that at the start of each wipe. Ah, that's huge.
That'll be fun. I actually like that. And then, you know, we had a couple questions from our Patreon listeners. Sometimes if we have an interview booked, we like to go, hey, anybody have some questions? And one of our Patreon listeners asked, any word on a release date for Pico?
You know, we're still talking to Pico, but Beyond Frames is dealing with all of that now. We've been talking to Pico since October. The deal was supposed to be done in December, and it's just, I think with the whole TikTok thing going on in North America, like Pico, which is owned by whatever the company that owns TikTok and
ByteDance.
like ByteDance, they own the studio that made Valorant and everything else. I think everything's just so cluttered. But I about 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, Andrew over Beyond Frames gave me an update, and it is moving forward, and we're just waiting on a contract. So
Awesome. And then another
All your
question.
Pico users will be able to get it.
Somebody asked that they don't understand all of the menu settings in Ghosts of Tabor. Is there someplace they can go to get more information about the settings?
yeah, I would just email Michael because all that's getting ready to get revamped. So like with gun stock calibration coming in and everything else, like there's more settings. We're gonna revamp all of that stuff. So I think Michael support at combatwaffle.com is the easiest way to get any questions. Like
His email's
quick,
going to get blown up.
direct from staff. If it doesn't come from us, it cannot be 100% reliable. So
All right. Makes sense. And then two more, actually. I'm sorry about that. Somebody asked, is there a place to find the frequently asked questions for the best setup for Ghosts of Tabor on various platforms? Now, as a standalone user, that's not something that affects me. I'm guessing they mean in terms of maybe headset settings. I wasn't quite 100% sure.
I would just ask in the Discord, the guys that own your headset, and then they'll be able to guide you the right way. Every headset is so different, and there's so many daggone headsets out there.
Yeah,
from,
there are.
like the Windows 8 days, like early Windows mixed reality. Like we've had to buy like 6-year-old headsets because people say, "Oh, it doesn't run on this 6-year-old headset," and we have to get it working. So it's like, who knows?
That's gotta
and I
be
can
so
attest that you guys
annoying
have
as a
very
developer.
Active and lively Discord, so
Yeah.
you know, anybody can always pop in there. And then one last question: one of our Patreon listeners asked that, you know, you've had a really varied career prior to getting into VR. What's a fun experience, unique story you can share with us that's something that most people wouldn't have experienced in life?
Okay, I got one. This is military stuff. I was stationed in Korea for 2 years, in South Korea. I lived in Dongdaesan, which is Camp Casey. It's the closest base to the DMZ. And 1 week we got to go out, well, 2 weeks, I guess, we got to go out and train with the Republic of Korea Army, the ROK Army. And we were out there, and I met a guy that thought he knew my dad. But there's no way he ever knew my dad, because he thought he knew my dad when he was like a young private. My dad was not in the military. So he thought he knew my father, and he was a staff sergeant this time, and I was only an E4 corporal and NCO, low-ranking corporal, NCO. And my dad apparently smoked him until he threw up, which means made him do physical labor until he puked.
Oh, God.
And he was still mad about that.
It wasn't even his dad,
And
though.
he attacked me
Oh, God.
with his soldiers, and then duct taped me to a tank gun.
Oh,
tube,
my God.
And then ran a self-test, so it does like brr, brr, boom, 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 and my head is just bouncing.
Oh,
I'm
my
taped up to
God.
like 15, 20 feet in the air on this gun tank, and just getting yanked around and thrown.
That's
There's so
horrible.
many military stories I can tell, but that's the only appropriate one. So
Understandable.
That's awesome. And you know,
These PPSH
our
mags.
listeners know we usually record on weekends. You know, we're the most selfish
No,
people.
they're
We
not.
take developers that work
Yep.
hard
Neither
all
of
week.
those.
You know, they get a day off
What you
on
doing on your day off?
a Sunday, and we go here. Let's steal them. So, you know, I don't want to take up too much more time. But Trash, before we let Scott go, any other questions that you wanted to ask before we wrap this one up?
No, I mean, I already knew that this wasn't a dead project. I see the activity going on. I actually think, if anything, the game is probably more popular than anybody, even though everybody wants success. I just feel like it exploded quicker than anyone probably might have anticipated.
It really did.
And
Ghosts
now,
of Tabor is
you're having
huge.
to try to catch up to every Tom, Dick, and Harry's complaint and issue and concern, which I have full faith in it. A couple of the things I got answered organically. You know, I find it incredible that everything kind of aligned like it did for you to choose the career to go into VR, but definitely admirable for family reasons. Keep you grounded near the fam is definitely cool.
Dude, I keep saying it. 2,200 total rating.
is that what it is now?
That's
Yep.
crazy.
I just
That's
had to
so
pull it up
many.
real quick.
No, jeez, man.
2,205. And
How
this
many written reviews?
1331
Yeah, see, that's
in 2
That's
months
huge.
on App Lab.
yeah.
And that's just the MetaQuest store. We're not
hit a
talking
gold
what
mine.
Steam is on. So
And it's good to see someone taking the risk to say, you know what,
I want this
you
game.
can bring games over
Mhm.
that haven't been done before.
Mm-hmm.
You can bring your own new flavor to it. Even with games that are repetitive, we even say, as long as you bring something new to it that not everyone's done.
Chat, I think we're done. I think
No,
everything.
I'm
I don't have these
100%
guns.
I wanna
Do I?
definitely see if we can
Wait.
talk down the road after some of these updates come rolling
Please.
out.
Yeah, especially as that
have some.
anticipated official store release comes, and
Oh,
definitely when
that is a listen, man. I don't like to bet money, but if I was, this is like as sure a thing as you're probably gonna get.
and whenever you're ready to hype up a
These mags don't
future
work anymore.
Combat Waffle Studios game, let us know. We'll be glad
You
to have
got
you
it.
on just to talk about those too. I'm pretty confident in your ability to hit deadlines.
Oh,
We
the
might be
studio's
dropping
gonna
like
be-
a little bitty 30-second teaser trailer in the next month or so.
Ooh, stay
Ooh,
tuned for that.
really?
I'm excited. Ooh, I can't wait. So thank you again, Scott, for joining
You
us.
got it.
You know, to the listeners, if you haven't played Ghosts of Tabor yet,
Oh, you're missing out.
it's in early
Period.
access, but don't wait. You know, get in on it now. You know, join the fun. They got a great Discord as well, so go check them out. If you enjoyed the podcast, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and we'll be back with you next week.
There you go, chat. We made it through, and good timing too. I just finished with all the mags, so we're at least a lot more organized than we were before. So that's good. Guys, please. Oh God, what is playing right now? Guys, look. They only have 498 subscribers. If you liked this at all, please, another huge shout out to them. Go check them out on YouTube. They do a ton of VR developer interviews in the same style you just saw now. How many views does this video have? It's only got 1,000 views, so I wanted to share this with all you guys because I figured not a lot of people have seen this. So I hope you enjoyed it. Big shout out to them. And it gives you just a bit of an insight on Scott, the main owner and CEO of Combat Waffle Studios, who made Ghosts of Tabor here, and what his plans are, what his background is, and what is to come in the future. So I'm super excited about it. I loved listening to him. I feel like just hearing him talk and listening to the passion he has and the ideas he has and how strict he is, and how much he actually plays the game himself as long with his dev team. It's like I'm not seeing any signs of like like I don't know if they're gonna be able to do this. I don't know. They've got some weird ideas and plans. Like everything just feels so rock solid with him. He's such a good presenter. He handles and speaks his mind very, very well in a way that's just easy to digest, and I'm just very confident with him at the head of this game's development, and I believe a lot of you feel the same way as well. So please He doesn't get enough love, especially in the Discord. The Ghosts of Tabor Discord is an absolute mess sometimes, most of the time, because you just have all these rude kids just screaming and going nuts, but they care about their game. They feel the bugs themselves because they play it so often. They know they exist and they don't want them in there. It just actually takes time. If you don't have any knowledge of how game dev works, it's not easy as just flicking a switch, like, to just fix a bug. They have to dig and find the switch in a pile of hay and make sure that it's the right one and flick it, and flicking that switch to fix the bug doesn't screw a bunch of other stuff up. It takes time and testing to chase down bugs and squash them appropriately. So please give them that time. Be thankful that we can play it in the state it is. They finished the game as far as getting it ready for release only in 11 months. From conception to making a team to release, that is an inordinate short amount of time. It's very unheard of. And in the state that it is, playable wise, it's so good for having been out for about 13, 14 months now. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. So chat, that's going to be it for me. I will see you all later. Have a good day. Thanks for hanging out. I had fun. I'll see you, chat. Thank you all for watching. If you feel the video deserves it, give it a like. Consider subscribing. It means a lot for my small channel. Also, I do a lot of live streaming on twitch.tv. The link will be in the description below. That's all for today. Expect more Ghosts of Tabor content. And until then, I'll see you in the field.